out here in the wilderness. Decided to take a breather. Cooking up some Trailtopia Szechuan chicken with rice. The cooker looks like it's almost coming to a boil. Really pretty out here. It's still kind of snowing. But I wanted to talk about if you're a person who's just gotten out of a relationship with a narcissist, what kind of parallels can you see between that relationship and the world at large? And I think if you're honest with yourself, if you look at something, for example, like government, the parallels between a relationship with a narcissist and a relationship with government are strikingly similar to each other. Narcissists will, on the surface and at the beginning, show great interest in you. They'll show great appreciation for you. They'll think you're the bee's knees, basically. They'll fall in love with you, at least ostensibly on the surface, and they'll treat you like God's gift. But then later on, there's the devaluation and discard cycles that happen, where the person that you thought you knew all of a sudden becomes somebody who you cannot even remotely recognize. And the parallel between that and government is pretty obvious. I mean, governments continually act like they're there for the benefit of you and I and everybody else who's under their purview. But then when the rubber meets the road, whether it's a crisis created by government or whether it's a crisis created by natural causes or what have you, they're either nowhere to be found or they're making the situation worse. And just like with the narcissist, if push comes to shove, if things get hard, they're not going to think twice about discarding you, and they're not going to fight for the relationship. I know firsthand now that these people don't fight for the relationship when things go south. They would rather just cut it off, end everything, and then start over with some other poor person who's going to inevitably experience the same exact thing that you did and that I did. And that's the same cycle that governments go through, is they get very, very huge. They become unmanageable. They become tyrannical and bloated, and then things turn to tyranny. And then there's a lot of people that die, a lot of deprivation, a lot of genocide and hunger and a lot of human suffering until the revolution happens, whatever that is or whatever that entails, and then that government collapses or gets toppled, and the cycle begins again because people continually put governments into power. They continually believe in the concept of some people having rights that other people don't, and that's why the cycle repeats. And just as the cycle of government repeats, the cycle of adoration, then devaluation, then discard, or whatever the three phases are in a narcissistic relationships are, they continue because people don't learn. And it's unfortunate, but it's kind of funny when you think about it, just the amount of parallels that they are, the amount of control that the narcissist tries to employ against you in the relationship. They try to control who you talk to, who you hang out with, even if it's not overtly. Like the person that I was with would continually remind me of all of the people that she didn't approve of and that were in my orbit. And I basically had no, I mean, I could hang, she didn't say verbatim that I couldn't hang out with them or that I couldn't be their friends, but she would express dissatisfaction with them. And to any normal person, if your partner were to describe or were to express dissatisfaction with another person, then you wouldn't feel as inclined to hang out with that person anymore. And that's exactly what happened to me. Is I just quit hanging out with several of my few friends, and I didn't really think of it that big of a deal because, you know, back then I didn't know of what exactly narcissism is and what it entails. But the parallel between that and government is that government also, you know, well, governments also employ sanctions. They also employ like trade war and stuff like that to prevent some countries from trading with each other and whatever else, which is kind of a parallel too, if you think about it. Like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, governments continually lie to people, to the specific, especially to their own people. They continuously propagandize and lie, and they portray their situation and what they do as something that it isn't. And narcissists do the same exact thing. I don't know if I said narcissist or government, mixing things up, but both do the same thing. They lie, and they use, sometimes strategically use truth or half truths to their own benefit as well. So I guess my point is, stay the fuck away from these people, because they will ruin you. They will wreck you, just like governments wreck you. And don't fall for the lies of the politicians, just as you don't fall for the lies of a narcissist. And if you are continually devalued, if you're continually told you're not good enough, or that somebody else is better, or that, you know, I wish I never met you, and you're the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And another parallel between that and government, non-essential workers. Oh, you're not essential. You don't get to work now because of this weird thing that's going around. You're not essential. Another parallel. If you're in this situation, definitely start thinking about leaving, because it's not going to go anywhere good. It's not going to be beneficial to you in the long run. It's not going to serve you. And this person isn't going to get better no matter how much you serve them, no matter how much you do what they want you to do, no matter how much you love them. You can't fix a sick person if they don't want to be fixed themselves. You can't heal anybody for them. You can try to help them heal, but ultimately they need to do that on their own. They can't do that. You can't do that for them. They need to do that on their own. And in order to do that, they need to see that there's a problem in the first place. Because if they don't see that there's a problem in the first place, then they don't think there's a problem, and they won't do anything to solve their situation, their current situation. So just like that, everybody else in society needs to find out that they're in an abusive relationship with their government, and they need to end that relationship. And none of that means, you know, violence. Violence isn't the answer. It's not going to help anything. If you're violent towards the narcissist is going to use that as a weapon as well, just like they use your emotions and your kindness as a weapon as well. They'll use your violence as a weapon as well. So violence isn't the answer, but what the answer is basically just cutting ties and not looking back, because just like your relationship with the narcissist isn't going to serve you, your relationship with your government isn't going to serve you in the end either. Because all governments become tyrannical, all governments become genocidal in the end. All governments in the end are a net negative for society than they are positive. I know it's a very hard pill to swallow for a lot of people out there, but if you look throughout history, it's true. Most governments sooner than later become tyrannical, but all governments eventually, if they're allowed, become absolutely murderous psychopaths. And some narcissists become psychopaths too, if they're allowed. And if you keep them in your life for long enough, they'll start to be not only verbally abusive, but potentially even physically abusive. Now, I've luckily never really experienced that, but I know that there are people out there that have. So emancipate yourself from mental slavery.